We double the distance tonight to 200 kilometres as the cars roll out now for this very tight session where 18 cars will advance. The ultimate pit lane is now open. We heard Garth in host just a few moments ago talking about just how different it is out there. You can see the flags on the top of the pit building are pretty gentle. It's only a 5 to 10 kilometre an hour wind from the east. Still a tailwind down into turn one, but what is evident, there's a lot of broad daylight out there at the moment. So people leaving the pit lane, trawling out there at 40 k's, releasing the limiter and then starting to weave. And yes, indeed, it's Aaron Love makes awkward contact with his teammate and it's ripped the right rear corner out of Courtney's car. Mark Larkham and I were speaking a little bit earlier in the day about how challenging it is to see out of these cars. Here's the replay from Cam Crick's car. Can you believe that? So it's triggered a red flag. It's pitched James up into the wall. And everybody's now just trundling back into the pit lane. Here's the view from the other angle again from down at turn two. So all of a sudden, Aaron just weaves over to the left, completely unaware of the fact that Courtney's there. Heavy contact. Remembering both these cars had some trauma on Wednesday, and Aaron Love's Cool Drive car went straight ahead down there at turn two with a brake failure. Substantial amount of damage, and it's got damage again on it now. And James Courtney had some challenges on Wednesday as well. Going to be a decent number. It's a good number. He looks pretty strong here, and he does go to the top on a 29.42.
P1, great job.
By 4/100ths of a second. So Mostert, it's good to actually ride with him there and listen very carefully to the cadence in the car in that lap. And I was watching his teammate Ryan Wood as well, because his first sector was better than any other. So he's actually just moved up into 5th position while we were over the shoulder of Chaz, picking up on Cam Hill here in the Superclass entry for Matt Stone Racing. About half a dozen cars on the racetrack at the moment, and that pokes him into the top 10. He's in 7th position. Remember that 18 cars advance. Macaulay Jones has just jumped up 10 spots, marked into position number 13.
How about Will Brown again in 11th? So this championship just never, ever stops in terms of the level of competition and how hard people are trying, and therefore on that run with that cloud cover, there's been so many improvers. So Ryan Wood's come right up there into 5th. Cam Hill's number got him into 7th. Brock Feeney has remained in the 10 at 8th.
Which means it's a headwind in turn one. Now, it may not mean much when you're just sitting there watching the telly, but when you're in the cars, it has a profound effect on the way in which they run down that front straight and into turn one, and some of the behavioural characteristics of the car around the back of the circuit. So it's moving around a lot at the moment. In fact, even as I speak, I get a live weather update. It's actually back around to the north, and these little changes in atmospherics, either with cloud cover or wind direction, will have an impact on the behaviour of the cars in the session, Larko. He's been doing a lot of sprint car racing over the summer. He's actually going to take a break next week because he's been in a car so much. He said, I need a breather. He's going to go up the coast and have a little bit of time to myself. But his car control, and it's a phrase that you use about how you need to have authority over the motor car, has been so supreme, and he clearly does enjoy his sprint car racing, and it makes him very current when it comes to the eye-hand coordination of commanding a motor vehicle.
Totally, and this racetrack is probably one of the best illustrations of genuine car control. So low grip, so many big fast corners, cars always on the slide, and what Cam does is get the very best from it without overdriving it, and that's the critical part. He was so fast in qualifying yesterday. He broke the lap record last night with a 30.65. And when he won by almost 17 seconds over the field in 26 laps, he basically put 0.6 of a second per lap on the field. It's the biggest winning margin in a supercars race since the 2023 version of Bathurst.
Jumping on board here with, apologies Mark, jumping on board here with Brock Feeney on the run to the eastern end of the racetrack, car number 88. Unfortunately got as far as turn 3, lap 12 last night, ended up with a puncture in the left rear corner of the car, put him out of business all the way down the field. So a tough start for him. He was in search of his first podium, Chad.
Just keep an eye on those times as they come in, but Anton De Pasquale doing something a little bit different, just try to burn a little bit more fuel before going for the run, so the only car going out of the sequence with the rest of them.
Calling off.
Numbers been achieved here by Cam Waters. It's a 28.89. This determines those that we're going to see a little bit later in the coverage now. These 10 will advance for a one-lap blast around Sydney Motorsport Park. And the real challenge for them and their engineering groups now, when they do that a little bit later in the day, it's going to be vastly different in terms of the conditions again. So that's coming up at 25 minutes to 5 local time in Sydney. It'll be roughly a half-hour session, and those 10 cars will run. Unfortunately for these guys, they don't make it into the top 10 shootout, and what you see is what you get in terms of starting position for everybody from 11 through to position number 25.